I want to talk about a very common issue which is not talked about enough. Hi, my name is Dorothy Attema, the author of Invisible No More. I want to talk about codependency. So where does codependency come from? I like the explanation given by a psychologist called Vince Di Pasquale. I hope I pronounce well his name. He says when you are born into this world, you are born into 5 families. You are born into the first family, which is your family of origin or your blood family. Then you were born into a religious system, which is also a sort of a family. You were born into a society, which is also a family. You were born into a neighborhood, which is a family. You were born into a peer group, which is also a sort of a family. And from these families, we have expectations when you were born. You expect these families to give you safety and security. You expect from these 5 families to get unconditional love. From these 5 families, you expect also to get your identity. Who am I? Where do I come from? And where am I going? From these families, 5 families, also we expect to get basic skills, how to live with one another, how to be intimate, how to love, how to live life. And we also expect food, shelter, and clothing. Now, if from these 5 families, you don't get that, you experience feelings of abandonment, you experience fear and guilt, and you experience sometimes people who suffer from abandonment, fear, and guilt get into addictions, all sorts of addictions to compensate for these negative feelings. Some people who suffer really abandonment and not receiving unconditional love and traumas as children suffer from extreme shame. And when you don't get this expectations from these 5 families, you experience abuse. And this is where the codependency patterns come from. As you try to survive, you don't live anymore, you survive. You start surviving life. If you don't get safety and security, you don't get unconditional love, you don't know what your identity is, you don't get basic skills, you don't get food, shelter, and clothing, and you have all these negative emotions of fear, guilt, shame, abandonment, you have addictions and abuse, you start developing patterns of codependency. This is where codependency comes from. And next week, we'll look at 3 major patterns of codependency that Vince Squala talks about.
Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button to show that you liked it. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button and hit on the notification key so that you get to be the first to know when we have a new release of the Weekly Insight.